en lo que yo lo veo en Zoom y lo que llega en nuestro Facebook Live. I just mentioned that we're a little bit delayed in our like by a minute on Zoom and on Facebook. So, hoy vamos a estar entrevistando a Chris Armitage, que está, que está como candidato para Congreso del el estado de Washington. Bueno, para el estado de Washington y para la posición de Congreso del Fifth Congressional District, right? It's quinto distrito del Congreso del estado de Washington. A ver si lo traducí bien. So thank you, Chris, for being with us here today and for going live with Latinos in Spokane. We are a small organization and we have a large following on our Facebook private group. So thanks for being with us today. Can you hear us? Can you hear me?
Oh, sorry. Yeah, it broke up for a second. Apologies. Okay. So the last thing I heard was small setting.
Yeah. So thank you for being with us here today with Latinos in Spokane. Can you tell us a little bit about you?
Yeah. Well, first I want to thank you so much for having me, and to everyone watching for giving me an opportunity to share a little bit about myself and about this race and what I'm trying to do here and what we're trying to do here. So again, my name is Christopher Armitage, however you want to pronounce it. My family generally goes with Armitage. And so I come from a working class background. My father left a white collar job in his early 30s to go into HVAC repair. And he was a tradesman when he was part of a trade union then. And then he worked as a conductor for the railroad and was part of the UTU union when he was doing that. My grandfather was a delivery driver, and he was able to raise a family of 5 on that single income. And that's something I like to bring up because to most people, particularly younger people, but really a lot of folks right now in America, it's hard to imagine being able to raise a family on one income. And so I bring that up because I'm pro-family, and I think being pro-family means that parents can make enough money to spend time with their children because they're raising the next generation. So I joined the Air Force right out of high school, and I was security forces. I went on 2 non-combat deployments and worked as a base defense operations controller and as security forces. I also did security for some presidential security in Argentina, Bariloche, Argentina, during President Obama's visits in South America, and got to work with a transnational security force that included Argentinian special forces.
Great. I'm going to just pause one moment because I'm going to translate what you had, what you just mentioned. So we'll take it by little breaks. Entonces le pregunté a Chris Armitage que si nos puede compartir un poquito de quién es él y de su familia, y nos comenta que él viene de una familia de trabajadores, que su papá era hacía trabajados, por ejemplo, de reparación y de HVAC, y que pertenecía a una unión. También trabajó como en parte de ferrocarril, y su abuelo era una persona que también trabajaba en Can you tell me a little bit about your grandfather again?
Yes, he was a delivery driver.
Delivery driver, okay.
He raised a family with that income.
Yeah, thank you. Entonces nos comenta que su abuelo era una persona que hacía servicios de repartir y que con su trabajo él proveía para 5 personas en su familia. Y menciona esto porque él antes podía mantener a su familia de 5 con el trabajo que tenía. Y él quiere mencionar eso porque es muy pro familia. También Chris Armitage estuvo en las Fuerzas Armadas, en los Armed Forces, y también trabajó en non-combat. Entonces, you were in non-combat before, right? Okay, now I'm trying to translate this with my notes. Y también trabajó en seguridad para la oficina del presidente una vez en Argentina. So I think I got most of it. I was just mentioning that you were security, you were for the presidential security in Argentina.
Yeah, you know, that was one of the most important experiences of my entire career, actually. We were there for about 3 weeks. I led a small security team. We worked with the Argentinian Special Forces guarding Air Force One for the 8 hours President Obama was there, but we were there for a few weeks. And we would go out every night. I learned an important lesson, for example, that at bars and clubs there, they start a lot later. I learned that. They also would hand me, they like to hand you a drink, some of their drink, so you can take a sip if you like it. I didn't realize that they just wanted you to take a sip and hand it back. I thought they wanted you to have the whole thing, and everybody everybody laughed when I drank the whole drink. So it was a really incredible experience, though, getting to know folks and spend time with them. And then one night we went out, and it was the 50-year anniversary of the U.S. CIA-backed coup, where we overthrew a democratically elected leader and helped implant a dictator. And there were names written in chalk all over the ground, and those were the names of people's family members, mothers, brothers, fathers, sons, friends, and they were people who died as a result of the coup that we backed. And there were the fun nights, but there was that night, and it's always stuck with me as something that I don't want the United States participating in. I don't want us destroying people's lives, and so that's always stuck with me.
Yeah, there's a rich history of U.S. Involvement in Latin America, and yeah, there's a lot to explore there that we're just learning as immigrants that some of us were there for those experiences, some of our parents were there, and then how what is our experience here. So I'm going to go back and translate what you just mentioned. Le estuve preguntando de su experiencia en Argentina cuando estuvo trabajando para proteger como seguridad del Air Force One, y nos menciona que estuvo ahí durante 3 semanas, que fue una experiencia que impactó su vida mucho. Uno, porque se la pasó muy bien cuando salía de noche, y en Argentina aprendió que cuando uno sale de noche allá te dan un trago para probar, pero él no sabía que era para probar, entonces se lo tomaba todo. Aparte de eso, tuvo esa experiencia en Argentina, y también vivió la experiencia del aniversario, el 50 aniversario, sobre cuando, no me acuerdo el nombre, pero él pasó el 50 aniversario cuando las Fuerzas Armadas de Estados Unidos participaron I'm just thinking of the dictatorship and what happened there in Argentina. I can't think of the name. I'm sorry if después me corrigen el nombre, pero cuando el Argentina estuvo involucrado Estados Unidos estuvo involucrado en el coup de Argentina. Después hablamos de eso. So that's another discussion, because that's a large event in Argentina, Latin American history. So tell us a little bit about of you now, after your experience then, and from now deciding to run for Congress.
Absolutely. Well, it's been an incredible experience. I left the military. I'd actually earned a Master's of Science in Homeland Security while I was active duty. And part of why I did that was because I wanted to show that I really do believe security and humanity shouldn't be at odds, that we can have a heart and we can be safe. And so I left the military, and with that background in security, I went into stand-up comedy. I was really done working in the field and deploying and those sorts of things. I'd also worked as a 911 operator at different points, and I just wanted to make people laugh.
Wow.
Oh, I know, what a story! I left it all behind. I was interviewed for a job at Facebook to be global security operations manager. They flew me to Facebook headquarters and got me a nice hotel room and all of that. And it was right before I got out of the Air Force, and I said, this isn't what I want to do. So I tried to be a comedian, and I'd been doing stand-up comedy for years. Both my brothers are about 6 foot tall. I'm about 5'3". Making people laugh has always been a way to keep myself out of trouble. And so I did stand-up comedy professionally. I started a business around it where I got sponsors for comedy shows and performed in them myself for a few minutes. And I would book comedians who were funnier than me to headline. and I performed all over Washington State. And I stepped into this race because I saw that with my background in disaster preparedness, emergency response, with my experience as someone who grew up often uninsured and underinsured, and as someone who's made minimum wage, I think that this is a unique point in history where each of us has to step up in any way we can, because the future of humanity is at risk. And so I decided to run for office and do this right. I also have a lot of criticisms of a lot of the people who are running things right now. And I was raised to believe, instead of just criticizing, go try and do it better. And maybe you'll learn that it was done the way it was for a reason, or maybe you'll be the change you were hoping to see. And so that's what I'm doing right now. I'm trying to be the change that I hope to see in the world, and support others who are doing the same. And there's so many, and I particularly want to thank you for the work that you do.
Thank you. Well, this is a lot that I'm learning from you, and I'll go ahead and translate what you just mentioned. Entonces, le pregunté qué hizo después de estar en las Fuerzas Armadas y trabajar como en seguridad, de sus viajes que ha tenido. Y me comenta que él ha estado de ahí, después de su trabajo en seguridad y en las Fuerzas Armadas, él obtuvo una maestría en Homeland Security, en seguridad, y Homeland Security. That was your master's, right?
Yes. I specialized in human trafficking as well. Okay. Emergency preparedness and human trafficking were the two things I focused on.
Y su enfoque fue en el tráfico humano y preparación para emergencias. Y de ahí estuvo trabajando en estos dos, y su interés para el Homeland Security era porque le interesa cómo podemos implementar un medio entre seguridad y la humanidad. Y de ahí él trabajó como operador del 911 para emergencias, y también su lado artístico trabajó como comediante, que se me hizo muy interesante que comparte eso con nosotros. Y tenía shows y estaba trabajando en comediante, y le gusta mucho el arte de la comedia. De ahí, después de ver todas estas experiencias y ver lo que está sucediendo hoy en nuestro país, él decidió ser candidato para Congreso. Y nos comenta que él también tiene las ganas de implementar un cambio, tiene sus críticas y opiniones sobre cómo las personas en la política ahorita están trabajando, pero le interesa no solo dar el crítico, sino ser el cambio y traer un cambio. But just finish by saying that, you mentioned that you had criticism for some folks that are right now working, but instead of criticizing, that you'd like to be the change and bring a change into Congress. So can you tell us a little bit about your campaign? What makes you, what is your campaign offering different than others that are running for the same Congress position?
Well, most of what I see, and part of why I stepped up as well, was a refusal to commit to policies that are really a representation of our morals and our values. The policies we espouse are not political bargaining chips to be traded back and forth for our own advancement. Representing a community is about service before self. And my opponent and a lot of the other people in office, I think they make a career out of serving themselves. So I believe that part of what makes me different is I've visited, over the last year of campaigning, 25 towns in this district. And once things are opened up, I'm going to be continuing to travel up and down this district, hearing every voice I can. Some of the other things that make me different, like I said, I'm qualified for the position. And the qualifications extend beyond understanding disaster preparedness or leadership. It's also about understanding what it's like to struggle. And granted, everyone has their own experiences. I just know that my life, growing up, sometimes we were uninsured or underinsured. The only times we had good insurance usually was when my father had a good union job. I know that, the number one thing that caused my parents stress was, are we going to have enough money to pay the bills? and that's common. Even working full-time jobs. I want to take care of families, and I don't see that commitment to a living wage, to universal health care, to guaranteed housing, the things that our families, our hardworking folks, that everybody needs. I don't think it's the government's place to say, you don't deserve food because you're not doing X, Y, or Z. And when I hear people in politics say that they or anyone else should be deciding who starves, who lives, who suffers from war, the nearly 700,000 people we killed in Iraq and Afghanistan, and they continue to fund it, I don't see a commitment to humanity. I don't see a commitment to dignity. I don't see a commitment to sustainable prosperity. And so I'm stepping up to try and be here for this community, to actually represent our needs, and I know that we can get it done. It's just about working hard and showing that we can do better.
Thank you for sharing that. I'm going to go ahead and try to translate what you mentioned, so I might ask you some questions along the way. Le pregunté a Chris Armitage sobre qué lo diferencia a él a otros candidatos y cuál es el enfoque de su campaña. Y nos menciona que él ve que muchos de los políticos que tenemos ahorita en la oficina no se comprometen a implementar leyes que realmente representan a los bienes de la comunidad o los bienes de las personas de esta parte del estado de Washington. Que él ve muchos que están en estas posiciones para beneficiarse a ellos mismos y no ven que están sirviendo realmente a beneficiar la comunidad. Dentro de su campaña, él, antes de la cuarentena, él visitó 25 ciudades dentro del área del Congressional District, del 5to Distrito Congresional, y ella ha estado escuchando las necesidades y escuchando a personas. Aparte de esto, él dice que él es calificado no solo por su experiencia en emergencia, preparación de emergencia o como seguridad, pero tiene experiencia en vivir en el área, entender las necesidades y también entender cuáles son las necesidades y luchas que experiencian las familias. Él entiende lo que es por su familia, que a veces su papá tenía trabajos en donde tenía seguro de salud y a veces no, dependiendo del trabajo. Él entiende lo que es tener esa necesidad financiera y a veces no tener el acceso a seguridad médico. Él es a favor de a las familias y quiere apoyar a familias y está a favor de ofrecer a familias un saldo en donde pueden vivir, en donde pueden cubrir esos gastos, y también a favor del salud universal, el seguro universal de salud. También nos comenta que él no está a favor de que el gobierno pueda decidir quién puede obtener estos beneficios y quiénes no, y que él está comprometido a la humanidad y representar las necesidades de las personas de Eastern Washington. I think I got most of it. I ended on mentioning that you are stepping up to represent the needs of the people here in Eastern Washington.
Yeah, well, I appreciate it. Like I said, that's the biggest thing. I just see people in politics who are more focused on enriching themselves or just speaking to the people who agree with them and telling them what they want to hear, instead of actually speaking honestly and truthfully, even when that might upset people. I think that's where courage comes in, and we need more of that willingness to be honest with the public.
Y nos comenta que lo que él más ve es políticos que están enfocados a servirse a ellos mismos o a las personas que los están apoyando a servir a ellos dentro de su, ya sea grupo o los que están apoyando las campañas o su posición, en vez de ayudar a la comunidad y a personas del área. Great. Thank you so much for sharing your story. I'm so interested in seeing you in stand-up someday.
Yeah, well, I intend on returning to stand-up comedy. I don't want to be a career politician, but I hope through what I'm doing, I've been inspired by so many incredible people, and I hope to bring new people into the electoral process and hand off the reins and hopefully start or help contribute to a movement of real people with life experiences that the majority of Americans go through, actually being the representatives for those majority of Americans. And non-Americans too, residents, everybody here, to clarify. And even, I don't know if you're planning to ask, but I'm just happy to say, I believe human rights are human rights, not just American rights.
I'm taking notes.
Yeah, that's the important thing. You know, whether it's, I don't think when my great aunt, she was on a vacation and she was in Italy many years ago, and she broke her arm, and they didn't say, "You're not Italian, get out of here." Or send her a bill. They sent her no bill. They just took care of her. And that's what we had in the military. It was a very similar healthcare system. They just take care of you. And so everybody deserves to be taken care of.
Great, thank you for sharing that. Le mencioné a Chris que yo estaba muy interesada de verlo como un comediante algún día y que me impresiona eso, que ha podido entrar en esas artes. Y me comenta que su intención es traer a nuevas personas al este mundo de política y de posiciones políticas. A él algún día sí le gustaría regresar a sus artes de comediante, pero él le interesa traer diferentes representantes de la comunidad que realmente puedan representar las necesidades de personas en Eastern Washington y llenar esas posiciones en la política con personas que nos representan. Él nos dice que él cree que los derechos humanos son derechos humanos y que no solo deberían de ser derechos de americanos. Nos dio el ejemplo de que cuando su tía viajó a Italia y tuvo un accidente y rompió su brazo, que su tía ahí la asistieron los médicos y la ayudaron, la apoyaron. No le cuestionaron de que era italiano o no, la apoyaron y no le mandaron una cuenta del hospital. Simplemente la ayudaron y él quiere ver más de eso, apoyar a las personas. Thank you so much for being with us, doing this short interview with Latinos in Spokane. We look forward to learning more about your campaign, and if there's another opportunity in which we can interview you and provide more information and more details as the campaigns move forward, please let us know.
Absolutely. And for folks who are interested, you can check out armitageforcongress.com, ARMITAGEFOR Congress.com. There's volunteer information and other campaign information. And we're working on getting a Spanish language version of our website up. Great. And so hopefully we're able to have that soon. We don't have all the resources in the world. We really built this from the ground up. But that's something I want us to have very soon. And thank you all very much for what you do.
Perfect. I'm just going to translate that. Le di las gracias a Chris Armitage por darnos el tiempo y por participar con nosotros aquí en Latinos in Spokane. Y él nos da las gracias también y menciona que si quieren más información sobre su campaña lo pueden encontrar en armitageforcongress.com. Ellos ahorita necesitan voluntarios y están trabajando para tener la página de internet accesible en español. Great. Well, thank you very much, Chris. We look forward to hearing more about you.
Thank
Good
you.
luck in your campaign.
Appreciate it.
Muchas gracias. Gracias a todos. Hasta luego.